We are right now at the Coromandel coast where the beautiful city of Chennai is located. Spread over 400 square kilometers and with a population of 7.1 million, this city never fails to entice its residents and the tourists alike. But today we are here to ask an important question. How differently able friendly is Chennai city?
This is the Island Grounds traffic junction. A pedestrian crossing the road bangs into the median. It is impossible even for an able-bodied person to cross the road safely without having to negotiate the obstruction. The plight of the differently abled while using such zebra crossings hardly needs any mention. Such obstructions on pedestrian road crossings are common in the city. At times, they are created deliberately to prevent motorists from taking unauthorized U-turns. But pedestrians bear the brunt, particularly the differently abled, because they are denied the right to a barrier-free passage. With city roads having become the fiefdom of motorists, pedestrians and cyclists are pushed to the corner. And as far as the differently abled are concerned, their needs are hardly taken into consideration.
Is Chennai differently abled friendly? The answer is no, absolute no. The Chennai is no way accessible or so much friendly for persons with a disability.
Smitha Sadasivam, a member of the Chennai chapter of Multiple Sclerosis Society, says public places like parks, beaches or movie theatres are completely inaccessible to people and children who are differently abled.
Chennai is majorly inaccessible for people with disabilities and children with disabilities. Schools are accessible whether it is park or beach or any other leisure spots like cinema theatres or malls. It is completely inaccessible for persons with disabilities, and wherever there are ramps, the ramps also have hurdles and it is also steep, and children with disabilities face a lot of barriers, and there is no specific accessibility measures for people with hearing impairment and people with visual impairment. No signage, no tactile guiding or no guidance, no help desk, and so people with disabilities are completely left out. The Disability Rights Alliance have been working with the Chennai Corporation on making the pavements accessible a few years back, and it is especially in the bus routes, whereas when the pavements were made accessible, there were a lot of issues to maintain it. We faced a lot of hindrance from people in that locality, the local vendors, the local residents, and the police could not cooperate with us because the police was also finding it very difficult to manage the people, the local vendors and other things. So despite talking to all those people, in addition to the police, we failed in maintaining all these payments, and now the payments are literally inaccessible.
It is not just pavements. Public transport too remains a huge problem for the differently abled. Aadheeshwar Ram has been facing trouble while travelling in trains and buses. He suffers from cerebral palsy and low vision.
Egmore railway station ku na poirna. Egmore railway station vandu
Aadheeshwar Ram says he is fond of travelling in government buses but has not been able to.
பஸ்ல நான் போணும்னு எனக்கு அவ்வளோ ஆசை இருக்கு. நான் பஸ்ல போனா பஸ் வந்து என்னன்னா நான் நிறைய தடவை என்னன்னா பஸ் வந்து சில பஸ் மட்டும்தான் நம்பர் மூவ் ஆகாத மாதிரி இருக்கு. நான் நிறைய பஸ்ஸஸ் வந்து அந்த பஸ்ஸோட நம்பர்ஸ் வந்து மூவ் ஆயிட்டே இருக்கும். அதனால அதனால என்னால என்ன பஸ் வருதுன்னு எனக்கு தெரியாது. கூட்டமா இருந்தா மட்டும்தான் எனக்கு நிக்கிறது தான் எனக்கு கஷ்டம். ஸ்டாப்பிங் வரும்போது எனக்கு பஸ் நிறுத்தும் போது தள்ளி போய் நிறுத்துவான். அப்போ அங்க இருந்து நான் நடந்து வர்றது தான் எனக்கு கஷ்டமா இருக்கும். கரெக்டா ஸ்டாப்பிங்ல நிறுத்தினா எனக்கு பிரச்சனை கிடையாது.
Vaishnavi Jayakumar has been fighting for the rights of the differently abled for long. She has filed multiple cases in the Madras High Court in this regard. One among them is to ensure universally accessible government buses in Chennai. Another to make the Chennai metro rail stations completely differently abled friendly. The High Court passed interim orders in a case on July 22, 2021. It restrained the state government from purchasing new buses unless they are accessible by the differently abled. The state government has now submitted to the court a detailed roadmap on the introduction of differently able-friendly buses in the Metropolitan Transport Corporation. In the meantime, Vaishnavi has filed a rejoinder taking strong objections to piecemeal introduction of universally accessible buses, though the 2016 law insists that every new bus to be procured by the state from then on should be differently able friendly. The Metropolitan Transport Corporation has a fleet strength of 3,457 buses, of which 1,042 buses are more than 12 years old and 1,230 buses are between 4 and 12 years old. The rest of the 1,185 buses are below 4 years old. Currently, the government has proposed to replace 644 buses, of which 242 alone would be low-floor buses. The new fleet is set to be purchased between 2022 and 2024. They will replace the existing buses that are more than 12 years old. However, Vaishnavi is clearly unhappy with the tokenism being shown by the government.
To be disability friendly in the first place, you need to be first disability aware. And I think that is where 90% of the problem is, that most of the people who are making decisions are people who are from the mainstream. They are non-disabled people. And if you were to ask them how many disabled people they really know, have studied with or have in their workplace, they would probably tell you none. A lot of it is to do with the barriers which are there in the environment, and we keep talking about it as accessibility. The philosophy of universal design is very crucial to our movement, because that assumes a diversity of experience, diversity of people. It is designing basically for everyone. Sadly, we find ourselves fighting the same battles that we were fighting more than 12 years back. I'm right now in Vidyasagar in Kottuppuram, and one would think that priority for the various children with disabilities who attend this school would be for the corporation to make the pavements accessible. And yet there's been a struggle, there's been a delay, it's an unnecessary delay. We often joke that the only disabled-friendly space in Chennai is mostly when there are elections, because there you are supposed to, you have a ramp, you have a wheelchair volunteer, you have a priority queue, you have a braille on the electronic voting machine. Just in that one polling station, briefly, for one day, a disabled person has an idea of what their city could be like. Apart from the physical barriers that we experience, inaccessibility, physical inaccessibility, we also face attitudinal barriers, and that kind of goes in the kind of assumptions people make about what a disabled person can or can't do. Those kind of attitudinal barriers are in fact an even bigger challenge to combat as physical inaccessibility.
So here we are, back to square one, or rather square zero, when it comes to making Chennai city differently able friendly. While the legal battle to make the state do its obligations are on, and it will take time, we as residents of Chennai city needn't wait that long. All that we need to do are small things. Let us not park our vehicles on pavements. Let us not halt the vehicles on pedestrian crossings when we stop at traffic signals. Let us not take unauthorized U-turns in spaces meant for pedestrians. And when this happens, our camera person Robert Ravindran and I would be more than happy to do a story on how the residents of Chennai are making a difference. Hope that happens soon. Till then, it's goodbye from us.